everyone, my name is Nicola. I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, it's great to have you, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming and spending some more time with me today. Going to do a stitch with me today, and I have this one out. This is Pandora. It's Marta Dahlig piece, Heaven and Earth design. I'm stitching this one, everything apart from the black first, because the black is more than half of the stitches. So by the time I finished all of the colour, the black will just be a case of filling in. I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross on some 25 count fabric, and as I said, going to just a little stitch with me, but this is going to be a chatty one, so a little bit of chat, and go through your recent comments. Oop, camera quake. As ever, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It is free, and press on the drop down for all notifications, and you'll be told every time I upload a video. Speaking of uploads, on Tuesday I uploaded a Flosstube. If you haven't seen that, please go and watch it. I am doing a small giveaway, but a comment has to be put on that particular Flosstube, so it's Flosstube number 40, where I'm celebrating 3,000 subscribers. So, hope everybody is doing well. Oh, Andy, would you check on Hannah, please? She's working today. Hope everybody's doing well. Now definitely in autumnal weather. October. It was rather, it was dark rather early for me last night. Andy and I popped out. We've been sort of used to it being light until, oh, listen to him over the road, light until about 8 o'clock. No, not last night. We left where we'd been at sort of 7:30, and it was pitch black. So yeah, the weather is definitely turning now. The seasons have changed. But there we go. Is she up and grumbling? Anyway, as I said, I have some comments to go through. And we're going to see what you guys have been saying this week. Still in frame? Yes, I am. Okay. So I'm starting with the comments on Flosstube 39, which I filmed just before Andy and I left for a couple of days away for our wedding anniversary. Thank you all for your good wishes. It's much appreciated. 7 years he's put up with me. I think he deserves a medal, but there we go. First comment that I have is from Patricia Pilling, who says, enjoy your time with Andy. And we certainly enjoyed our time, didn't we, love? I had a great few days away. It was lovely and restful and relaxing. We spent some time at the sea. What have I done there? gone on too far. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we spent some time at the sea. We spent some time in some villages and having a look around. Most importantly, we spent some time with each other. And there's nothing like quality time. Me and Andy don't go big on anniversary presents or anything like that, because we know that the most important thing we can give each other is our time. But yeah, a couple of nights away, it did us the power of good. Kelly's Quilts Plus also comments. Let me just zoom in a little bit more actually. And let me just move that out of the way too, because it's getting in my way. Sorry, I know the camera quaking a little. End of September already, she says. Holy cow, happy anniversary to you and Andy. Enjoy your time away at the seaside. Thank you, Kelly, and we surely did. Okay. My stomach's grumbling this morning. I'm really sorry if you can hear it. It's been an absolute pain in the backside. Jane 22 says, happy wedding anniversary, even though it's a day late. Enjoy your break/stroke holiday. Awesome progress. See you soon. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, filming my videos on a Monday for a release Tuesday. So yeah, it is often a day late. And I don't know if you saw as well on my community page, I linked a video there that Andy and I made for his channel. We visited Sandringham, which is a royal estate in Norfolk, and more specifically Sandringham Church, which is the church that the royals attend at Christmas and when they're in residence at Sandringham. But of course we tend to see it on the news when the royals take their annual walk to the church and meet and greet people who wait to see them. But we went to get a look inside that church, because at Christmas we see the outside but never get to see what the royal family see. And I have to say, it is an absolutely stunning little church. Tiny in comparison to some that we've been, and certainly if you compared it to such as Westminster Abbey, you know, Westminster Abbey is absolutely huge, and of course that is a royal church too. St George's Chapel is sort of a medium sized in comparison, comparatively speaking, and then you've got the Sandringham Church, which is tiny. Presumably the same at Balmoral, the Craffy Kirk up there would be really small as well. Is a more of a village church than a large centralised place of worship. I mean, St George's Chapel's the Garter Church, so all of the orders of the Garter ceremonies are held there. And then, of course, you know, Westminster Abbey is the main ceremonial church, whereas Sandringham is a family worship. But yeah, it was a very interesting little place. So if you're into or have any sort of interest in royal history, it's definitely worth a look. And Sandringham, of course, was the estate that was purchased by Queen Victoria for Edward VII, or future Edward VII, who had, if you know your royal history, he had a bit of a reputation as a playboy prince. He was linked in his lifetime to some 50 women for having affairs out of his marriage. But yeah, he was another guy who led an interesting life, because everybody thought he'd be a useless king, and he actually turned out to be rather good in the grand scheme of things. Queen Victoria wrote him off essentially as a failure. But if she'd have seen his reign, even though it was only short, it was successful. So yeah, but yeah, it's a lovely place. I would certainly visit it again, and consider paying to go to the house and gardens. Oh yeah. Back to my comments. Karen Ennis says, happy anniversary to you both. Have a wonderful time by the sea. Thank you, Karen. As does Taser the Elder, says happy anniversary. Or Tazro. Not quite sure, but this piece is very quiet when I'm stitching it. Daphne Chamberlain says, happy anniversary to you both. Great progress this week. Thank you, Daphne. I need to decide my next colour. Let's go for that one. As does Andrea, the Buckeye Stitcher. Happy anniversary. I hope you two have a wonderful time. Thank you. Been a little worried about, spending sort of time out and being peoply, because it appears like COVID is doing the rounds again. But I've been fortunate, touch wood, knock on wood. I've not had it. The only person in this house that's had it is Hannah, and she had it in its first iteration. Came home from a volunteering session in a charity shop, took a test, and it came out positive. And it was when we had that incredibly hot summer a couple of years back. So poor lass had to self-isolate. and it was not a pleasant experience because her room caught all the morning sun and stayed hot all day. So yeah. Irene Chandler says happy anniversary, enjoy your holiday away. And then our lovely Sue Landriel says happy anniversary and congrats on 3k subs. So by the time that Sue had commented on this video, I had actually hit that 3,000 mark. I was close before I went away, and then during the time I was away I actually reached it. Hence me directing you to my most recent Flosstube, as there is a small giveaway to celebrate. Linda Love to Stitch says happy anniversary to you and Andy. Enjoy your trip away. And Aussie Craft Mum also says happy anniversary. Flipping car outside, doing my boxing. I like to do my stitch and me's in the morning because it's the quietest time, but some mornings it's not the quietest time because it's like the blaming M1 out there. Lynn Cordova says happy anniversary to you and Andy. Have a great trip. Thank you, Lynn. Oh my goodness. And Patricia Loyal on my Sunday live stream leaves me some heart emojis. Thank you, Patricia. As I have said before, leaving even just an emoji all helps my visibility. So I thank you, even if it's just emojis. Okay. Penelope P.E. Rogers says, happy anniversary to you both and thank you for all your wonderful videos. Oh, thank you, Penelope. I do enjoy making these videos. And it's just a part of me now. Handy and the girls expect at some point pretty much daily I've got a camera out. In fact, there's Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays are the days I don't film. On Fridays at the moment. I don't think that's actually doing anything that light much, is it? Just getting in my way. Celia says, great progress on your whips. Happy anniversary to you and Andy. Hope the Seaside did its magic for you and congratulations on reaching 3,000 subs. Thank you, Celia. Seaside always works its magic for me. I love it. I love the Seaside. I love the sound of water. You know, we were stood on a cliff top in Norfolk, and I was just, Andy went off to do a bit of filming. I was just sort of sat there, and after a while, and I found a bench and just sat and listened to the sound of the waves. It was just so nice. The sea is a very healing and calming place for me. I would imagine it is for a lot of people. But the sound of water is just something about it. You know, I mean, there's two ways of water, isn't there? There's the relaxing sound of waves, or, you know, the water lapping at the shoreline, or a waterfall, or a river. And then there's Chinese water torture. Well, no, not that. You know, water can be one extreme or the other, but I definitely enjoy the sounds of water in nature. 498. Kathy 5839 says, happy anniversary. Thank you very much. And then back on Flosstube 38, Natita 280 says that beaded seahorse is so pretty. It certainly is. I almost don't want to put it on my scissors because I don't want to lose it or damage it. But yeah, it is. It's beautiful. I'm so lucky. I have such lovely friends. Is Hannah awake, love?
Yeah.
She's just not keen on getting up. Okay. Come on, that's it, mark off. Great stitch with me, thanks Nicola, says Sandy. And she's chatting on Flosstube number 38, Daughter of the Deep, stitch with me. It was a chatty one that I did. It's like you popped in for coffee and a chat. I hope you and Andy have a great time in Norfolk, just what you need to charge you up. I hope the weather is kind to you. Thanks for sharing. Take care and happy stitching. The weather was indeed kind. It was quite warm actually, but not excessively warm. You know, the nice breeze off the sea sort of just tempered the warm weather, that it was comfortable. You know, one of those things when you go to the sea, it can either be boiling hot and barely any wind, or it can be boiling hot but you get a breeze off the water, and it takes enough out of the heat that it actually becomes cold. But we were lucky, we were kind of just in the middle. So when we were coming back, we stopped at King's Lynn on the way back and went for our lunch. And in King's Lynn it was raining, but again it still wasn't particularly cold. I mean, don't get me wrong, rainy weather's never nice, but it wasn't particularly cold, even though it was raining. But we enjoyed our stop and had a little look around King's Lynn, and we found a fabulous little place for lunch that did like a buffet style meal. And yeah, we enjoyed it. Absolutely enjoyed what we had. Is that the cat sneezing? She was also very vocal on my Flosstube this week. Did lots of meowing and wanted lots of attention. Almost like another child. Patricia Lola on live stream Wednesday. It leaves me some more hearts. Thank you, Patricia. And then Elena on Flosstube 39 says happy anniversary. Thank you very much. I just realised I've kind of, you know, whacked my way through these comments, and I'm not careful, I'm going to run out. So I'll probably run out early anyway. I've not got an awful lot this week. You know, next week's going to be a different story, because already on my Flosstube I've had about 50 comments. And it's interesting to see how many different ways that the keyword that we asked you to put in the comments is used. It's been fun reading them. I expect Hannah down in a minute. She needs some breakfast. She's working today. She's back after a week off. She also took the week off last week. And Hannah is incredibly organised because during that week off she did her Christmas shopping. Far more organised than me. On Flosstube 37, so Kate is still catching up. She says, thank you for the shout out. Your progress is lovely. I think Cosmic Marbles may be finding its way to my wish list. Yeah, Cosmic Marbles, it's come along, you know, especially as with, you know, changing the colours of the marbles now. It's, yeah, it's looking great. And as I said before, with the change in the number of stitches per rotation that I'm doing next year, I think it'll see more progress, which will be great. I'm actually quite looking forward to next year and, you know, changing up with how many stitches per rotation and things. I think it's going to be good. Flosstube alternative with unicorn, so one with some music, which I released last week. So Kelly from Kelly's Quilts Plus, you'll be interested in this comment, Andy. She says, greetings Nicola, you got a lot done on the unicorn piece, looks pretty. The vine motif on the outside of the frame is great. Good tunes, Andy. I like the sprightly one at around the 28-minute mark. Yep, we get people chair dancing. Andy, of course, is my resident DJ and likes to get people moving and grooving. Hannah? Hannah? You do know it's 10 to 8 and you've had no breakfast? Working, aren't you? What do you mean, no? I thought you were back this week. Oh, okay.
What was that?
She's not working. Oh. My mistake. On my Stitch With Me with Daughter of the Deep, speaking of Hannah, Sharon says, I love Hannah, she's so funny. You should have told her the moon was out.
You've done that before.
I've done that before, yes, once or twice.
How much longer have you got to film, Dan?
Well, I've done 40 minutes so far.
Right, just because the wash is not gone back on yet.
Well, you can't put it on now. There's nothing that won't keep. Okay, Random Stitch Loan says congratulations on the 3,000. Thank you, Loan. That was on, again, Flosstube 21, the unicorn. And Patricia leaves me some more hearts. Thank you. I just get so into doing this, it's so relaxing. Happy anniversary and congrats to 3,000 subs, says Christian Klein. Thank you very much indeed. I can literally sit and stitch and stitch and stitch and not talk for hours. It can be very peaceful in this house when I've got my stitching out. drink. Oh, clunk. Oh my days. On my unicorn Stitch With Me, Celia leaves me some emojis. Looks like we're watching football again. So football, a kitty cat, heart, and a cross-stitching bobbin. Thank you very much, Celia. Thank you, my dear. Let's mark these ones off so we don't get lost. Patricia on my last Chatty Stitch With Me, which had my one to rule them all. Patricia again leaves me some hearts. And then Gail comments to say, I'm glad you're feeling okay, Nicola. As always, wonderful stitching. As a fellow sufferer of mental health issues, I get it. As you know, here for you and anybody in the group who needs to get things off their chests. Thank you for that, Gail. I mean, you guys, if you've been watching me for more than a minute, you'll know that mental health is extremely important. And you know, I will happily support people who are struggling myself, but of course I do have my own struggles too. I have anxiety, which does from time to time kick into high gear, and there can be no reason for it. It's literally just happens. I wish that, you know, I could pin down the precise cause of it, you know, why it happens, but when it feels like, you know, from my gut, bubbles coming up my body and it's going to burst out of my chest and my heart feels like it's racing, it's not, it feels that way, and I get, you know, that sort of empty feeling with the, you know, sort of slight sort of tremors kind of thing. It's not nice. I thank goodness for the medication, which does help enormously. So yeah. Oh, thank you, my love. Fresh drinks. Keep me hydrated.
Keep you awake. It's coffee, isn't it?
Yep.
Welcome to it, vile stuff.
Hmm?
Welcome to it, vile stuff.
Yeah, Andy's not a coffee drinker. Okay, mark these ones off. I'm doing quite long strips, I don't want to get lost. Kelly says, I forgot about this one to rule them all project that you were stitching. The dark browns are very warm looking. A good autumn stitching project. Yep, they are actually. They're quite warm browns, and soon we'll be turning into the golds and the yellows and even probably some reds in that one, if my Middle Earth map's anything to go by. And I will say again on this video, like I did on my Flosstube, if you're not in Tilton Crafts Facebook page or group or whatever it is, I suggest you join. If you're a fan of sort of pop culture, she is doing some re-releases of limited runs of certain charts. We have had some Lord of the Rings ones, we had some movie ones such as Spider-Man, The Matrix, Aquaman, Harry Potter, and so on. So if that's your kind of thing, definitely nip over to Tilton Crafts Facebook group. I know that one or two of my stitchy friends managed to get their hands on the Realm of Middle Earth map. So before that was, I think that's now been withdrawn, but I couldn't swear to it 100%. But yeah, it's it has been available. You all right? You all right? Okay, Karen Ellis on my one to rule them all also leaves me some hearts, so thank you, Karen. My goodness. Get that distractedness again. Okay, and then Aussie Craft Mum has a lovely big comment for me. again on the one to rule them all stitch with me. Glad your time off has been helpful for you and that you and Andy enjoyed your time away. I have mental illness and appreciate everybody who does what they can against the stigma of it. Yep, there is a huge stigma still, although it's better than what it was. It's still really, really rough for anybody that's suffering with any kind of mental illness, which is, it's not good. You know, it's a cruel world that we live in. And if, you know, talking about it on here helps in some small way, then so be it. I'll happily, you know, chat away about it. It's just really sad that these days there's still such a huge stigma. I've had problems since I was about 14 years old, one thing and another. My life hasn't always been easy. I've had a few extremely rough moments in my life which have caused, or rather contributed, to my mental health being somewhat poor at times. It's you know, when people realise that it's not just about cheering up, you know, it's not just about pulling yourself together. You know, it's an imbalance. It's a problem within you, and you know that imbalance affects your mind and how your mind works. So really, the more that you know, people are aware of it, the better. And of course, you know, as I said, pretty much at the end of every video, or on the card at the end of every video, just be kind. You never know. You can never know what somebody's going through. I mean, Andy doesn't even know when I'm having an anxiety attack, because there's no point in me, you know, kind of freaking out about it. I just sit here quietly and let it happen. Because, you know, me making a big sort of show of myself, it's not going to help matters, is it? But it is very silent, and, you know, that's the thing, isn't it? The thing about, you know, with anxiety, depression, those kind of things, you never really know what causes it. You know, what triggers it. But we know that the imbalance can be helped with medications and things. And we can learn to cope with it and learn to live with it. Oh yeah, it's not easy. You're so fast at stitching, she says. I stitch slowly on 14 or 16 count. Yeah, two-handed stitching and a lot of practice. But I'm lucky because I am reasonably ambidextrous as well. So my dexterity's always been good. So doing a two-handed was kind of a breeze for me once I'd taught my brain how to do it. And I can do it either way up as well. I tend to do it with my right hand on top, but if need be, I could stitch with my left hand on top, particularly when I am over at the left hand side of my project. And if, like, I'm in a nerge frame, I can knock it from underneath with my left hand. So when I'm over at the far left, it's better to have my left hand at the top. But yeah. But I mean, everybody stitches at their own pace. I mean, just because, you know, I stitch really, really quickly, it doesn't mean that everybody should. Some people just naturally take it a lot steadier. I spent some time stitching CatDalph last week on 14 count, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt I was quicker on 14 count than anything else. But of course, because it's 2 strands and I was using more thread, you know, found myself having to rethread my needle a lot more than on these 25 count projects. With 25 counts, I can get about 80 stitches out of a strand, between sort of 70 and 80, depending on how scattered they are. And with a 14 count 2 strands, you look around sort of 30-ish at the most, which is a massive drop. So of course I am rethreading my needle an awful lot. But I absolutely loved stitching on 14 count. Daphne Chamberlain leaves me some sewing needles, and Tazero also leaves me sewing needles, bobbins, and a cup of coffee. Always useful. Again, on my Stitch With Me, with one to roll them all. So thank you very much, both of you. So again, Kay is catching up. So Coastal Roseanne Bell Stitch With Me that I did. Kay comments and says, the blues on this project are beautiful, so restful. I'm not seeing hype on my YouTube yet. Maybe my version hasn't updated, as it took a couple of weeks for me to get the top commenter thing. Not in any real hurry for yet another thing for us to get annoyed at from YouTube. Yeah, I have turned off on my live streams, I've turned off monetization until, you know, the last sort of 5-10 minutes, because in the chat box some people are seeing adverts in the chat box, which is incredibly distracting, and I don't want my streams to be interrupted like that. I mean, an advert during the stitching, that's one thing, but just sort of trying to type a message and then all of a sudden you're reading something, and all of a sudden you get this, you know, advert show up. It's not nice. And then she says, I really need to put my landline back in. I'm missing out on all the fun. Yeah, the scammers are getting short shrift from us at the moment. And they are absolutely wild at the minute, because we seem to be getting daily ones now. It's people claiming to be from BT, and we don't even have BT. Most I have is an email address that I pay for with BT. But yeah, we don't have our internet or anything. They phone up and say, oh, we're from BT, you have a problem with your internet. No, we don't. Off you go. But of course we don't say it quite that politely. And certainly Lauren doesn't. She gets smart with them. Love it. Okay. Right, to sew through my thread. That's good, isn't it? Jane says, congratulations on reaching 3.01 thousand. I enjoyed seeing unicorn coming to life. Thank you, Jane. And I don't have many more comments now, only a couple more, I think. On live stream Sunday, so Patricia again leaves me some of her hearts, so thank you again, Patricia. And then in the stream we were also talking about pregnancy and how, you know, I'd been following the pregnancy diet, and how I followed it literally to the letter when I was having Hannah. And Hannah, you know, it made absolutely no difference, because Hannah was born and, you know, she had a diagnosis in her early years of autism. You know, they say that don't have this and don't have that, you know, but I don't believe it actually makes a difference, because by following, you know, the diet that they recommended, it didn't prevent my child having an autism diagnosis. I wasn't as regimented with Victoria and Lauren in my pregnancies, and they turned out without an autism diagnosis. And Linda, I do apologise to you, Linda, if my comments did cause any offence, and that certainly wasn't my intention. She says, getting a child with autism doesn't have anything to do with a pregnancy. I'm autistic myself, as well as my 2 sisters and brother, but my oldest sister is not. They say it's genetics. Yeah, they do. They do say it's genetics, but, you know, my point was that I was, you know, probably putting across really, really badly, was that, you know, they recommend all sorts of things in pregnancy. Don't eat this, don't eat that, you know, to ensure a healthy baby, and this, that and the other. And by following that to the letter, it made absolutely no difference whatsoever. And Hannah still ended up with an autism diagnosis in her early years. But by relaxing a little bit and not being quite so regimented, my other children did not have a diagnosis. Now, certainly, obviously there isn't a link. It was just an observation that I'd made. Of course, it is genetics, absolutely, and like any genetic issue, it can skip. And clearly it's skipped Victoria and it skipped Lauren. I mean, when they have children, you never know. Victoria and or Lauren's children may end up with a diagnosis of autism in their early years. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, certainly there was no offence intended, and sometimes I do word things really badly. It's a fault of mine. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like I said, the point I was trying to make was by following the guidance doesn't necessarily mean that all will be well, because there are other factors that you literally cannot account for or plan for. There are things that go on that no matter, that if you eat, a healthy pregnancy diet, you're not going to prevent them from happening. If that makes sense. And then my last one is from our lovely Sandy. So this is my last comment today, so not done bad. She comments again on my want to rule them all. I'll say it again. It's another comment on there, not another one from Sandy on there. Great stitch with me, thanks. You're such an amazing lady, and I'm pleased you're feeling better, and I hope you continue to do so. Thank you, Sandy. That's my plan. Continue to feel better. Me and Andy have been making plans and seeing how we can improve things for both of us going forward, so do watch out for that. We both of us acknowledge that work is a difficult thing for both of us in our different ways, and we need to look at how we can make things easier, better. So plans are afoot, and it's just going to be a case of watch this space. I'm not going to reveal too much, but yeah, we definitely want life to become more pleasant. And I know that's kind of drip feeding stuff, and I don't really want to do that, but I need to do a few more bits first before I can reveal. She says, I truly hope Roxanne is getting there also. Yep, let's hope Roxanne is doing well. It's not pleasant when you have a flare-up. And of course, we offer all of our love and support to you, Roxanne, if you're watching this. It's so wonderful to know there's someone we feel comfortable with to share. Take care and happy stitching. So yeah, absolutely, I do want to make sure that people do feel comfortable in talking to me. If I can help in any way, I will. I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but what I am is somebody with experience, and I think, you know, that's quite important, isn't it? And that concludes the comments for this week. So if you have spent the time making a comment for me, thank you very, very much. It is appreciated more than you know. And as I said before, by answering them on here, it frees up my fingers. Instead of typing, I'm stitching. So it keeps my momentum going. It's just the way I prefer to do things. There's no right or wrong. It's the rules we make ourselves, isn't it? This section's filling in quite nicely. So we've got about another 15 minutes of stitchy time to go. And again, as ever, if I can think of something to say, I will. But if not, I will just sit here and we'll enjoy the rest of the stitching. Quite enjoying how this one's filling in. I'm kind of trying to persuade myself not to touch any of this black and leave it till the very end, but I have to say that the more of this space I do, the harder it gets, because I can really see how the black will impact and change what I'm doing. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You just made an ah-ha-ha noise.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, right, let's pop in these ones. Reds and browns are the order of the day around her hair. But her face just looks so red. Like a very bad sunburn. But I'm sure that when all of the colours are in, it'll make perfect sense. Until that black's in, it will look a bit strange. I think when I do get to putting the black in, the paste will be the first bit that gets done. I've got work today. At least we're on halfway through the week. It's Wednesday as I film these videos. And I've got my live stream tonight, which will soften the blow of having to work all day. I like my live streams. And hopefully on this upcoming Wednesday, as you're watching this on a Saturday, so on the upcoming Wednesday stream, we will be finishing The Witchy Cat. And that will be my 6th finish of this year, which I think is rather good. And then of course that means that I can have a new start, 2 finishes, 1 start. So I look forward to that. Okay, it's looking quite good. I'm quite pleased with what I've done today. It's only black now left in this bit, so I'm going to move to this bit. More lovely comments come in. So, yeah, we're nearly there. Almost an hour and a half of stitching time already. Not that I want to put my stitching down. I never do. But unfortunately, I have to. It doesn't look like that stitch is over, but it is.
Just having a nice stitch.
Yeah, almost done. Which is good because I could do it a visit to the little girl's room. Okay, so 357 stitches in this session. Just zoom out a little bit. So everything apart from the black is filled in around sort of here, which I'm pleased with. So this bit, you know, will be filled in because, you know, from there upwards it's all black. So I'm going to carry on going down into her face, I think. So yeah, so that's everything from me for today. So I'll just end up with my usual reminders. 3 videos that will be coming up on your screen in a moment. If you've not seen those, please do go take a few minutes to have a look. I release a Flosstube on Tuesdays, Stitch with Me's Thursdays and Saturdays, and a live stream at 7:30 p.m. UK time on Sundays and Wednesdays. So if you can join me for those, that would be fantastic. But for today, thank you very much indeed for watching. Do take care. Happy stitching. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.